SUVs are all the rage. It's amazing how many supercar manufacturers, prestigious brands, have come out with an SUV. Now, it was only a matter of time until Bentley brought out the Bentayga, and since then it's been their best-selling vehicle. This is the new Bentayga Hybrid. I'm Ben Quirk, welcome to Planet Auto. Now, this is hybrid, meaning it's got a V6 petrol engine. It's also got an electric motor. Now, yes, it's not going to fit everybody's budget, but the bottom line is it's a Bentley, which means you can tailor it. Now, there's a range of engines, V8s, V6s. Bottom line is Bentley, like every other manufacturer, are heading towards electrification, and they want to have a fully electrified range by 2030. Saying that, their first vehicles are going to be made at Crewe, which is great news, especially for the Northwest. The thing about the Bentayga is it ticks so many boxes. I mean, people love Bentley. It's one of those brands that's been around since it's about 1918 when W.O. Bentley came out with EXP2. One of the cars that they've got sat back in Crewe, and that's where we've been today. And that's why we're behind the wheel of the Bentayga. Bottom line is, an SUV sells. It's perfect for the family. It means you can get luggage in it, snowboards, mountain bikes, you name it. You can literally load them up to the hilt. So it makes perfect sense that Bentley thought, actually, there's a market here, especially when you look at other manufacturers, such as Rolls-Royce and, of course, Lamborghini. And the interesting thing is, it's outsold all their cars put together. You'll likely know that Bentley is part of Lamborghini and VWG, etc., etc. So, yes, they do mix and match parts. But the Bentayga stands on its own. It's even got what you call a rather decent ride height, which makes it perfect for camping, going down mountainous trails, etc., etc. Not too raw, mind. The other thing is, it's tech loaded. You get LED lights, you get AEB, adaptive cruise control, heads-up display, and then if you go down the Mulliner experience, you can tailor the car as you see fit. Styling wise, well, it's completely different to, say, the Continental GT, which I think is a good thing. It's far more aggressive, but SUVs need that, I suppose, it's stance and command on the road. And this, when it's coming towards you, it looks rather sinister. The thing is, it's got the power to back it up. We've got a 360 camera, parking sensors. Let's just take a look at the grille for a moment. Now, if you buy this model, this is the type of grille you'll get. If you go for the EWB, well, this will change to tall slats, a bit like the one that you see on, it's the Mulsanne. It's such a clean design. In essence, it's rather minimalist. You've got this design feature here. Apart from that, believe it or not, you actually have these plastic arches here. Because they're blended in with the paintwork, they look rather nice. Everything's just tastefully done. Carbon fibre down the side with the side skirts. Now, whether that's real carbon fibre, the likelihood is yes, because it's Bentley. And it just gives it a sporty touch. As I mentioned, it's the perfect family vehicle. Just look at the length of the doors, so it makes getting into it rather easy. Now, there's one thing that we can't miss. What are these? Should we say 23s? No, it's an inch out. The 22s. The thing is, they don't look too big. Proportionally speaking, it's perfect. It doesn't look top heavy, it doesn't look overbalanced, it just looks like a rather nice SUV, which it is. Let's have a look inside. Is that keyless entry? As I mentioned, with Mulliner, you could change the stitching here. You could add silver accents, you could add chromes, you could add this, that and the other. But considering this is relatively standard, it's rather nice. Leather wrapped steering wheel and stitching as far as the eye can see. Piano black, and even the movement on these vents. A different system to the Continental. That had haptic sensor buttons, whereas this has got rotaries and proper clunky buttons. Ooh. Everything's soft touch. It's luxurious. It's lovely finishes. Memory function on the electric seats, massage, heat, you name it. We've even got the upgraded name sound system as well. Lovely and solid. Not surprising. Build quality in here is, yeah. I mean, look at that. Shake the vehicle before anything actually moves. Lots of lovely accents. Rotary dials. Storage points. That's where this differs to, say, the Continental. We've got got the wireless charging pad here, the cup holders, and lots of extra storage. I mean, you do have a centre armrest in that, but this, I suppose, is more family orientated. Infotainment screen here, and I am a fan of this styling. The fact that the clock has been integrated into the vents, and I can see we've got a centre speaker. Everything's wrapped in leather. The other thing is, it's pretty damn intuitive. So you look at this and think, oh, very straightforward to ventilate my seat, heat it, turn up my climate control, etc, etc. And the fact that you've got physical buttons as opposed to doing it all through the screen. Now you've got driving modes, but we'll take a deeper look at that in the driving section. I think the bottom line is, this is what you want a luxurious SUV to be. Look at these Bentley emblems. Supportive, comfortable seats, they're perforated, and it's 6'3". Well, headroom. Great driving position. You really do feel in command of the vehicle. And paddles on here as well. So if you're feeling sporty, you've got that covered. I do like this wideness. It's just chunky. The accents are carbon fibre with the body kit. Well, essentially it's a body kit. If you call that a Bentley, it kind of is. Oh! Now I reckon this is going to be pretty roomy. Now, I don't think I've seen that very often. You've even got a puddle light for the rear doors. The door opens nice and wide, and it's a decent opening. Climbing in. Wow, look at that. It's essentially a TARDIS. I've got lots of leg room. I can get my feet under the seats. I bet something goes in there. I bet there's a load of features you can get. Well, it's like an area with that, as Annabelle called it, sky roof. Grab handles above every door. Got map reading lights. And look at this. Little coat hook. And another manufacturer that's put the vents into the pillar. And speakers too. Very clever. Just look at the finish on the rear door cards. Padded areas throughout. Decent door pocket. And the grates on the speakers. Exquisite. Lovely. All our doors are soft close. Comfortable supportive seats. Perforated leather. If you've seen, we've got a screen here. It's climate controlled, heated seats. You can get massage. You can literally go to town on this vehicle. Pull down armrest. So yes, I can recline the seats. And as there's all-wheel drive, you've got a transmission tunnel, but it doesn't eat into too much space. It's a very comfortable interior, and I am a fan of these. Look at that. The movement. Okay. So the cabin's big enough for your family. Let's check the boot out. You'll remember that Bentayga's been out a few years, and to start with, they had a more rectangular look, and I suppose it gave it a more retro look, but they've gone with the more oval, and this is the style that you see on the Continental. I don't quite know which ones I prefer. Maybe the first gen, but that's because I suppose it was groundbreaking, the first SUV from Bentley, and it's come so far. It's just got better and better. Look, everything's so, I suppose, stately. It just looks prestigious, but you've still got these aggressive exhausts down here. So we've got reversing camera, parking sensors, and as I mentioned, this carbon fibre rear spoiler. I think this is a nice touch. You can also open it with your key fob and the button on the door. Now that is a decent boot. Quite easily get your suitcases in there, even when you've got your seats reclined. It's just long. You've also got your charging cable because, as we know, it's a PHEV. So you do plug it in to get your 30 miles of range. But that in turn makes the vehicle far more economical. Well, that's a rarity. I can actually stand at the height of 6'3", under here, not impeded in the slightest. Rather clever system as well. Just strings, but just tastefully done. That's the thing about Bentley. There's an air of elegance to it. Well, you've even got runners here, so it looks like you can get a system where you can secure a load. It's finished very nicely. 12 volts, and you drop the seats by doing this. Doesn't lay entirely flat, and there is a little bit of a gap. Bottom line is, you're not really going to be using that space. Tally-ho! Welcome behind the wheel of the new Bentley Bentayga. So yeah, the SUV that pretty much outsells all the cars, but it's not surprising. For a start, it suits the family, whereas a Continental GT, maybe a lovely sports tourer, it's 4 seats, but this, well, it allows you to go on a family holiday, pick up things from the DIY store, etc, etc. Not normally the mark that you'd think of for that kind of task, but people's lives are changing. This is why things like the Urus, the Cullinan and other SUVs sell, because they're multi-purpose. So it makes perfect sense that Bentley have made one. Now this is hybrid, which means you get a pure electric mode and you get a petrol engine, a 3-litre V6 in this. So economy is not bad. What have we got? We've got 7 miles of electric left. We've got our driving modes down here: sport, comfort and custom. So we can tune different elements of the car, acceleration, steering weight, etc, etc. But straight out the box, it's a lovely experience. It's rather quiet in the cabin and it's extremely comfortable. And it holds the road well too.
They've got great visibility, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
And check out that massive sky roof. I'm going to call it sky roof because look at the size of that.
Nice responsive box, decent pull with the engine. Quite as fast as the GT. That's not really surprising, that was V8. I can feel a regen. It's quite a heavy one. That's more like it. Nice sound as well. I do like the sound of a V6. No, it's comfortable suspension, great steering, lovely and direct. Weightens up very nicely. Good feel to it too. Transition through the box, very smooth. And when it's moving from hybrid to electric, it's great. Everything's effortless. Look at that. Considering its ride height and the fact it's an SUV, it's rather agile and nimble, isn't it?
And it's got very little wallow considering it's so comfortable. You do expect it to be a bit more.
And it does illuminate it to a point when you go into sport anyway. Because that's it, when you're in comfort mode you want it to be a nice pliable vehicle that's, you know, eating up bumps, etc. Lots of safety on here, AEB, we've got adaptive cruise control. Oh, interesting, that's on the stalk. Now the one thing I have noticed is the stalks are very different to the Continental GT. Everything's got a good feel of quality to it though. Everything is nice and easy to read. The satellite navigation, the fact that you've got the digital cluster. You can see I've got a 420 mile range. Well, it's got some decent pull, hasn't it?
Yeah. But it's smoothly done.
It's just a very smooth transition. And we're now into EV mode. I'm watching the bars and things. It's very self-explanatory. You can see when you're regenning, you see when you're putting power down. You're seeing it with the needles moving.
Yeah, it's very nicely done, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It feels well composed at all times, considering its height and the fact that it's an SUV. You could have some serious fun on the back road in this, especially in sport mode. And you've got that lightning acceleration. That's the combo of an electric motor and a petrol engine. Most hybrids don't use a V6 with an electric motor, they use a 4-cylinder. So you also get the tone as well. Just listen to that silence. Now, one sad thing I have noticed, and we do get it to a point in the Mercedes C124, and that's the fact that a lot of people just won't let a Bentley out. There's no need for it. I mean, there's 2 sets of lights now where vehicles have decided to purposely not let me out. Whoa. Wow, that launched. I dread to think what this does 0 to 60 in. On that note, very good brakes. No, the whole package comes together well. The acceleration with the powertrain, the brakes, the suspension, the fact that you can change elements, and all the tech and safety. The Bentayga is the perfect vehicle for those that want a Bentley, but also need to fulfill, I suppose it's family requirements. Need something that's a little more practical than, say, a Continental GT or a Flying Spur or a Bacala or a batteur, and the list goes on. It's versatile, it's practical, you can get a range of engines, and prices, well, it's a Bentley. 9 times out of 10, if you're buying a Bentley, price doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's one of those top SUVs, but it's not going to suit everybody. However, I think Annabelle and myself would have one in a heartbeat.
Oh, heck yes.
And there we have it. Lots of Bentleys going off to their new home.